They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Well, welcome to the Kentucky Derby. I'm Jill Byrne alongside John Asher. And John, it's time to talk a little future wager. We've had Pool 1 has closed. Now we're getting ready to head into Pool 2. And no surprise from Pool 1, the field, favorite as usual.
Our wager is now 15 years old, and for 15 consecutive years, the All Others, the mutual field, has been favored in that first pool, which makes perfect sense. I mean, that early in the year, nobody's kind of really established themselves. You don't know how horses will come back from 2 to 3, and it just makes perfect sense. It's a great saver bet to ensure that you might be able to cash something on Derby Day if your horse doesn't come in. So, yeah, no surprises there. And Mike Battaglia, who has done our morning line at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby since 1975, I believe. Fairly astute handicapper.
A long time before I was around.
Clearly, before you were born, actually.
Absolutely.
And he has installed the mutual field as the 3-1 favorite here, and I think that makes sense. I mean, we've had one major contender hurt since the last pool with the defection of Violence over the weekend, and we had 135-1 shot to win at the fairgrounds last weekend. So there's every reason to think it might be, either anybody in that pool or somebody we have not seen yet.
Well, let's talk about a couple that we have seen, maybe. And Todd Pletcher has 6 in the wager.
Which I believe is a record. I'm kind of the historian on this thing, and I'm sure that's a record. And he had 5 in the last pool. Between Pletcher and Baffert, they have 11 of the 23. But there are no guarantees.
There's no guarantees in that. And of the horses of Todd Pletcher's that are heading into this second pool, who do you think is possibly a value horse among those? Verrazano's all the talk. We still have to see him come out and run against top competition, but he's all the talk of the stable. I'm kind of a revolutionary.
I am too. I really don't know how to assess that win in the Withers, but he overcame a lot of trouble. He kind of looked at Darren Rogers, my cohort in the publicity department here. We were discussing his run the other day and how he came down the stretch, and he was kind of the way his action just kind of leaped in the air like a dog coming to greet you. I'm not sure that's good or not, but he overcame a lot of things to win that race. And if I had to say if it's going to be one of the Pletchers that moves forward, I kind of think it's him. Overanalyze will give us some evidence this weekend in the Gotham as he has drawn the outside post, so we'll know a whole lot more about him. One thing that does bother me is that his only relatively poor race, his last 3 starts, came over the racetrack at Churchill Downs.
Right here, exactly. Well, let's talk about a horse that you like, who has a very good race here at Churchill Downs.
A tremendous race at Churchill Downs. It's a D. Wayne Lucas horse. Wayne, of course, has won 4 Kentucky Derbies. And the horse we're talking about is Titletown 5. Now, he's never raced in a stakes race. He hasn't run since last November at Churchill Downs, and he was injured after that race, and he's just coming back off an injury. But Titletown 5 is a good-looking son of Tisnow. Ran a tremendous race in a maiden event here on last year's First Stars of Tomorrow Day. And really, you look at his resume, it's pretty impressive. He was beaten in a photo by Violence in his previous start. That's right. Came back and won his race at Churchill Downs by, I believe it was 10 1/4 lengths over Braidster, who came back and won by a similar margin. He won at Churchill by a similar margin, then won at Gulfstream. So every horse that has been around Violence's last few starts has come back with quality efforts, which you got to like. He gets back to the races this weekend at Oaklawn Park in a small stakes race down there, 6-furlong sprint. Don't know how much it tells you about Derby, but it will tell you whether the colt is back. And then after that, I'm sure Wayne is going to stretch him out. It's a good story if you just love stories, because he's owned in part by Paul Horning, the pro football great, the Notre Dame Heisman Trophy winner, and a native of Louisville who has never come close to having a Kentucky Derby horse. And having those 2 Hall of Famers at Churchill Downs the first Saturday in May would be something. But I think this horse has a lot of talent, and if Wayne can get him there, he'll be a force.
So that's John's horse, a little bit under the radar, Titletown 5. A horse I like we just saw this weekend. 2 horses actually coming out of the Risen Star, but Code West for Bob Baffert. You talked about he has 5 horses in this pool. I thought Code West ran a huge race. He was beat a whisker by I've Struck a Nerve after really setting all the pace there. I think he can improve a lot for Bob Baffert. And speaking of the coach, Wayne Lucas, I'm not giving up on Oxbow either. A horse that ran a huge effort in the Risen Star to finish 4th, only beat a half a length. So just wrap it up quickly here with the pool. Give everybody the particulars on opening, closing on the pool.
Pool opens at noon Eastern Time on Friday, March 1st. Noon Eastern Time, and wagering will conclude on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. 3 pools. Voting starts at noon Eastern each day. You've got $2 win wagering, and also the exacta wagering, which is now in its 4th year, and it's been really, really popular and has really, when you compare it to Derby Day exactas, has really had tremendous payouts. And it is in the $1 form. You can do a $1 part wheel, but the exacta is available as well.
Fantastic wager and a lot of fun. And you can wager on twinspires.com for Pool 2 of the Future Wager. For John Asher, I'm Jill Byrne for the Kentucky Derby. Good luck.